Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Sri Lankan Muslim Professional Forum Qatar, I welcome all of you in this beautiful evening for this online session related to investment in stock market. I am Mohammad Rifkan, Executive Committee member of Sri Lankan Muslim Professional Forum Qatar. A brief agenda for this session will be, as an event organizer, I will give a brief introduction to SLMPQ. Then Brother Imtiaz Buhardeen will take us through his journey in the stock market, followed by a question and answer session. Few housekeeping guidelines for the participants. Keep your mic mute all the time. For the question and answer session, as we have mentioned in the chat box, you can post in the chat box and we will pick the questions from there, and Brother Buhardeen will be answering those. And also another important message, we are planning to continue this program as a journey for you as well. Therefore, whoever wish to join us in this journey to learn about the stock market, please look out for a Google form in the chat box and fill the details if you wish to be invited for the next sessions. Sri Lankan Muslim Professional Forum Qatar, an affiliated organization with Qatar Embassy, established with a vision to be a premier platform to promote solidarity and networking among Sri Lankan Muslim professionals in Qatar. SLMQ aim is to bring together a dedicated group of professionals with a common interest to develop and implement activities which benefit Sri Lankan Muslims professionals in the state of Qatar. Our core area of focus are professional development and networking. This is by facilitating seminars, workshops, lectures, and interactive programs. We also support local community in Qatar by undertaking various initiatives in partnership with other relevant associations and organizations. Not only in Qatar, we also take initiatives in community building back in our home country, Sri Lanka, through a planned and dedicated efforts in association with established bodies in line with the forum's objectives and scope of activities. This program is part of both professional development and local community support. Before I introduce the speaker, I would like to mention that this program is for educational purpose only and does not constitute any investment advice or recommendation to invest in any financial instruments. Any investment decision should be made based on your own research and consultation with qualified financial advisors. As a not-for-profit organization, we do not gain or seek to gain any financial benefit from this program. Now I would like to introduce our speaker, Brother Imtiaz Buhardeen. Brother Imtiaz Buhardeen, many of you maybe already know him. He is a seasoned businessman and serial investor in a distinguished career spanning over 3 decades, marked by his expertise in international trade, finance, and real estate. A proud alumnus of Royal College, he has established himself as a prominent leader within Sri Lankan economic landscape. He is the founding chairman of the Almas Group, a diversified investment conglomerate primarily focused on listed entities on the Colombo Stock Exchange. The group holds strategic stakes in several publicly listed companies, reinforcing its influence across the capital markets, real estate, power and energy, plantations, and construction sectors. Almas Group also includes a stock brokerage arm, which is one of the founding members of the Colombo Stock Exchange, licensed and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commissions of Sri Lanka. With a lifelong passion for capital markets, a commitment to the entrepreneurial spirit, and a belief in the power of long-term investment, Mr. Buhardeen continues to make lasting impact on both Sri Lankan and international business landscape. Based on my brief interaction with Brother Imtiaz, I would like to mention that few people, when you are around them, you feel the positive vibe in you and in the entire surrounding. Brother Imtiaz is such a person, and we are honored to have him with us today. Without further ado, I invite Brother Imtiaz to share his journey in the stock market. Over to you, Brother Imtiaz.
Thank you, Brother Rifkan. Assalamu alaikum to everyone and very good evening. Let me first thank the SLMPQ, Sri Lanka Muslim Professional Forum Qatar, for taking this initiative. And also I would like to thank Mr. Imran, one of my cousins who felicitated the meeting with the SLMPQ, and we have come to this meeting today. So I was on a holiday to Qatar, so about 2-3 weeks back, on the way back from South Africa. And I thought, why not myself make use of this opportunity while meeting my family and friends to meet some of the Sri Lankans who are working abroad and to physically meet them and have a chat. And that's how we met SLMPQ. But at that time, we couldn't organize a meeting physically. So we came up with the idea that we'll do a webinar in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. So Alhamdulillah, we have managed to get that going now. So what we thought was initially we'll have I will give a presentation on my journey, how I started into the stock market, how investments I have made. And thereafter, maybe follow up with later on with 1 or 2 more sessions on fundamentals and technical analysis for people who are a little more interested. So I'm like initially, although I hear there are a lot of other from countries or from Sri Lanka, also a lot of people have joined this forum. I'll focus like speaking to the Qatar expats who are living there. So I will break down my webinar as like into 2-3 journey. First is my journey, then how about the market, then I talk about why Sri Lanka and why now. So my journey started immediately after my schooling at Royal College. I joined my father, and he had a business organization with about 10-15 businesses at that time. And my journey started around 1981. And for about 15 years, I was with the group and learned many trades in that. So our main focus was into garment trades. We had about 5-6 garment factories in outstations, and we were one of the pioneers at that time. And also we were into many other fields like travels, cargo, shipping, insurance, gems, departmental stores, many areas that we were into. So I got quite a good knowledge from all these businesses, and that really helps me today when I invest in the stock market, because I can understand about businesses from different fields. Then thereafter in 1999, I left to Singapore because at that time still the war was still going on, and the future was not looking good still at that time, with a lot of problems still going on. So I thought, okay, let me go out and try to establish. So I chose Singapore, and with my family, I was there for about 13 years. So during that period, I also went into the stock market in the Singapore Stock Exchange. I was investing there. But I have this passion of investing into the stock market from early 80s, 84, 85, around that period. Actually, when the Colombo Stock Exchange started, I was one of the investor from the beginning. So it's almost now coming to 40 years, my experience in the stock market. So in Singapore, while doing the investments in the stock exchange, I also went into car trade business. So I was one of the pioneers again from there, exporting used cars from Singapore to like South Africa, Mauritius, even to Sri Lanka. And Alhamdulillah, I was doing well at that time. And thereafter, I got another opportunity to start a real estate business in Johor Bahru in Malaysia. That's the border of Singapore. Alhamdulillah, still we are having that business, almost now 20 years since I established. Mm, what we used to do was like, buy from the developers a few units, like, 20, 50, 100 units like that. And we used to go to the Middle Eastern market, South Africa, and, wherever the expats were there, we used to go and market these. And we have quite a big portfolio, and still we have a quite a big number. Still we are managing those units. So then we decided to come back to Sri Lanka once the war was finished in 2009. And that was somewhere in May 2009. The May war was over, and somewhere in July, my father also passed away, 2009. So then thereafter, I thought, okay, let me come back. I thought that was good time after about 12, 13 years spending out to come back to the country with the family and start to establish something back again here. So then only I started back again investing in the Colombo Stock Exchange from 2012 and all the way up to about 2020 until the COVID hit. I had built a quite a good, reasonable portfolio. So I was doing a lot of analysis about researching a lot of companies, and from whatever good profits that I made overseas, I started bringing them here and started a sizable portfolio, buying into good companies, uh, a certain like percentages of companies. So what I felt was like, we should buy businesses which are good, well-established companies. So Alhamdulillah, like immediately after the post-COVID situation, when the market opened, uh, initially the market was closed for about almost 2 months. That's the time I think the what do you call the digitalization all took place during that period. The Colombo Stock Exchange and online trading was facilitated, and lots of people came into the market, and market was quite vibrant, not only in Sri Lanka, I think all over the world. That was the case. And the market was around 4,200 when the market opened, and it went all the way up to about 13,500, the index. So by somewhere till January 22. So just before the Sri Lanka, the economic crisis hit, the market felt like, there was something was going wrong because a lot of warnings were coming from what do you call rating agencies, about the sustainability and all those things. And with good profits at that time, market started to take a correction. Well before the crisis hit, April only we defaulted, but somewhere in January the market started coming down. And by around May, June, the market had already come down to about 6,900. So almost like a 45 to 50% market like kind of a crash with the economic situation that we went through. I don't have to go through again all the details that happened. So that was the situation. Uh, so then anyway, we had invested, but I was not selling any of my shares. I felt like, uh, holding some of the stakes that we bought are like for long term. You can't sell those quantities and buy back those quantities again in the market, because once you give it, companies like duopolies and monopoly kind of a companies, you can't buy those quantities to replace it. So I thought, let me hold it, and again, and also we made another investment at that time in 2022. We went into a stock brokering company. We bought one of the existing stock brokering company. Before that, we looked into about 3 or 4 companies that didn't work out. But the company that we took over at that time called Asset Line Securities, this went into hibernation. Like for 2 years, the market situation was not good. So the company decided, and stock exchange had a provision, if the things are not good in the country, that you can keep that company on hibernation for about 2 years maximum. Then thereafter, they'll have to get back to business. So we took over this company, like when paying a premium when the country situation was really bad. But I thought that was an opportunity to not to be missed, because anyway, I was in the stock trade. I knew buying a stock brokering company is not easy. If you have the money, even it's not easy to get a license. When a difficult time, I took the chance and I said, "No mind, let's take this opportunity." Alhamdulillah, that also worked out. Now we can see the markets are recovering and it has recovered to all-time highs. And that also has worked very well in our favor. Actually, in fact, in 90, before I went to Singapore in 98, 99, the same company I was trying to take over, the same stock brokering company. At that time, we did a lot of documentation. We went to the Almas Stock Exchange, like, we were applying to get that license. We couldn't go through. Then I was also in two minds to going out of the country. We left it there. So alhamdulillah, the same company, I got it back after 25 years. So the companies that we invested right now, like, we have gone into sizable stakes in manufacturing companies like cable companies, the plantations, diversified companies, investment companies, hospitals, gas and energy, power. So mixture of a portfolio that we have the portfolio that we built. And alhamdulillah, I would say from 2020 to current period, my portfolio would have grown at least 10 to 15 times from what we invested. So that's the kind of opportunity that was created. And mind you, this is after we going through the worst financial crisis and just coming out of that. Not like a country was like just smoothly going. This is after many issues that we had. We had the constitutional crisis in 2018. Then 19 we had the Easter bombing. Then 20 the COVID, and thereafter the economic crisis. With all those things, we have been quite resilient, the country, and we're coming out of it nicely. And I also follow Warren Buffett as my, I just go study a lot what he does in his company called Berkshire Hathaway. They are also, it's like kind of a company that we are investing and having an investment company. This is one of the leading, the biggest company today. Warren Buffett, personally, he started, around when he was 7 years old, he started reading about stock market, all the books I think he had read. At the time of 11 or 12, I think he had read over 2 times all those books. And around 12, he started investing, of course, not in his name because he was underage at that time, and through his father. And over a period of time, then he took over a company called Berkshire Hathaway at that time. It was a textile company. But later on, he admitted and said it was a bad company that he went in because he didn't go into the real fundamentals of the company. He thought it was a cheap company and that he just took over a company. But he turned around that one with many new businesses that he brought into it. He went more into insurance business, energy and utilities, railroads, transportation, like candies. I think over 60 businesses that they directly manage. And also as an investment company, they are into one of the biggest shareholder of Apple, American Express, like Bank of America, Coca-Cola, those kinds of these things. Today, their market capital is about $1.5 trillion in the New York Stock Exchange. And if now today he's 94 years old, and his partner Charlie Munger, he just passed away about a year ago at 99. So you can see how even at old age and still he's active and he's still running that company. Of course, he has the people to take over, but it's well diversified investment company. And if you would like to know just about the Berkshire Hathaway, the share price, one of the main share, they have two shares, the Class A and Class B. Class A share, which is trading in the stock exchange, today one share is trading at $718,000. So that works out to about 215 million rupees if you want to just buy one share of his company. But the Class B, he has like divided into 1,500 shares each. So that has about 1.3 billion shares. Of course, the main one has only about 585,000 shares. So that's the value he has created. But of course, since it's an investment company, they don't pay any dividends. And they just keep rolling over the monies and building the portfolio. So on advising on the investment side, I would say like for you all also, just to start something on your, say, whatever salaries or income that you all are getting, I would say just put aside about 10 or 20% of your income. I think that should be the first thing that you should do from your income, not the last one. A lot of people, how they manage their finances are, they will have to pay all the bills, car rentals, house rental, electricity, shopping, all everything is looked into. And then end of the month, you see sometimes some people are hand to mouth. Of course, in Sri Lanka, maybe in people are living abroad, you will have some reasonable income available, additional income. So what you should get to into habit of getting 10 to 20% like your expenses put aside for income. I mean, for investment. That's the only way you can grow a good portfolio over a long period of time. It should be a long period like you should look at. And thereafter, dollar average it. So you shouldn't be worrying about how the market behaves, whether the market is going up, down. You shouldn't be worrying about that because your goal should be like next 10, 15, 20 years kind of a thing. If you start investing on that basis, if the market comes down, even you should be quite happy actually, because for example, let's say you're putting just 100,000 rupees a month, and let's say your portfolio has grown to 1 million. You shouldn't be worried about market going down 5% or 10% and saying, "Look, I've lost 10% in the market." What you're going to do is the next month also going to put that 100,000 each month. So you are going to build that uh, capital into a long-term investment over a period. For example, let's say you're buying at 10 rupees a share and you're buying 100, you're putting 100,000. If today's price is at 10, you will get 10,000 shares. But let's say the market goes down to 90 rupees, then you're going to buy not 10,000, you'll be buying kind of about 11,000 plus shares. So number of shares that you're going to buy in that company, you'll be getting more and more. And also, for example, let's say you put 100,000 rupees monthly and start getting about, let's say, 10% return on average. It can be ups and downs market, but on average, yearly, if you can get a 10%, and if that compounds, if you work it out for, like, say, for example, for 25 years, the 100,000 that you will be putting in will be equal to about 132 million rupees end of 25 years. So if we don't look at like that way, we just think immediately whatever the money that we put in, and whether that can make money or not. But long term, if you really analyze and start putting aside, that's the amount of money that can be saved over a long period of time. So that's one advice I would like to just give. Next thing is, like, people who are living abroad also look at things like sending the money officially to Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lanka, now we are going into a future cashless transaction basis, and everything is going to be captured in future. Like now we're having this Ramis, so that already about 6 departments are already capturing in, but going forward very soon, it's going to be about 29 departments. And once the digitalization and the GovPay, all those things are now coming in, I don't know if some people would have utilized the amnesty, which was about 2 years back. A lot of people made use of that and paid about 1%. And they brought in if they had any black money or undeclared money. So those things will really help going forward. Because otherwise, what will happen is if you don't send money officially now, or if you just look at the other systems and try to get 1 or 150 more on your, say, Qatari real or whatever, when you really come to Sri Lanka and you want to invest in something for a property, or you want to buy a car, or you want to start a business, you won't have official money in your hand sometimes. So then that's going to be a problem, because now it's going to be going forward, everything's going to be official. It's going to take a little more time, but that's the way forward, I think. So that's just a small advice I'm just giving. If you don't get used to that, then it's going to be difficult at that time. If you have the money even unofficially, you won't be able to start a business or even buy a property. All that is going to be captured. And the questions will be asked from where the source of funds and all the questions can arise. And let's say if you go in for a real estate, you want to buy an apartment or a house or something in Sri Lanka, initially you have to pay about 4% stamp duty. Then you have your municipal taxes, the maintenance, all that. And the recent budget, the capital gains tax has been increased from 10 to 15% for any profits that you realize out of any asset, right? So if it's on personal level, it's about 15% now. On a corporate level, it goes up to even goes to 30%. But if it's on shares, currently there's no capital gains tax. It's a tax-free investment, zero tax you pay on that. What you pay is only when you're buying, you pay a commission, which is about 1.2% in total. That has 3-4 components in that. Part of it goes to the stockbroker, part goes to the SEC and the CSC, and to the government. The government takes about 0.3% of the tax. On the transaction. So actually, it's advised. It will be beneficial for the government to, instead of bringing in a capital gains tax for, actually in the budget, a lot of rumors were there that there might be a capital gains tax coming in. That's why I can remember when I was in Qatar, say 2-3 weeks back, the day we met the team, that's the day the market went down by 500 points. So it was like, the rumors saying that there's going to be a capital gains tax coming, but the budget has come and gone. There's nothing, no such thing like that. So when you buy and sell, both ways you're paying 0.3%. So it's about 0.6% the government earns from whether you make profit or loss, still you pay that. But with the capital gains tax, for example, let's say you make 20%. If they put a 10% tax, you will be paying 2% of your profit. But here they are getting 0.6. Not only on your profits, even if you're loss, you hold and you still sell at a loss, even still you pay that to the government. So it's on long term, on total turnover, it's a better tax at the moment. And investing in the stock market is very transparent and it's very easy, right? There's no additional cost or anything involved. Like if you buy a share today, let's say you'll get a straight, especially from our stock brokering. Some of the stockbrokers have immediately they send you an SMS within 2 to 3 minutes of your purchase. You will get an SMS to say whether you bought a share or sold a share, and the quantity, price, all the details will be given. And end of the day, you will get an email giving all the details of that transaction. And on a monthly basis, again, the broker will send you a statement of accounts, how we have bought and sold. And the CDS also will be sending. CDS is a company, a central depository system, where all your shares will be kept. It's like the central bank. Like all your shares are will be lodged with them. So you can, if you want to move your shares to one broker to another, it's now it's easy, not like those days, like a bank transfer. You can go online and you can transfer your shares even. Likewise, your bank account is also linked to the CDS. So if there is any payments, you're making a payment or you're receiving a dividend, everything is straight, immediately it comes to your account. If you, when the stock market started in 1985, at that time, the ASPI, the All Share Price Index, started at the index at 100. Now today, currently, it's close to 17,000 now today, which is about 170 times the index has gone up. So on average basis, if you see, it's 4.25 times. That's 425% kind of a on average return on the index. But of course, there are indexes just for people who are not in the market or just to get an idea how the market is performing. So it doesn't give the 100% the correct view, because there are companies, let's say in our stock market, we have about 285 companies. When you say, for example, the day that the 500 points went down, on that particular day itself, there would have about 50 or 60 companies also would have gone up. So it all depends on your portfolio or what are the shares that you have. Let's say you have only 5 shares, that 5, if it was all good companies out of the 50 companies, it could, that day your portfolio even would have gone up. Or for example, on a day where the index goes up 300 or 400 points, sometimes your portfolio will be on a minus side, because that's all again depends on the shares that you're holding individually. So this is an average taking the market cap and the free float calculated the index. We also have the whitelist. Currently, there's under review at the SEC. But earlier, there's roughly about 100 to 125 companies comes under the whitelist out of the 285 companies. So if you are like Muslim investors and interested in that, strictly following, then about 100 to 125 companies are there you can invest in. But that keeps changing. So about say 10, 15 companies on a quarterly basis they can change depending on the debt ratio, the impermissible income that is earned from that company. So on those ratios, those companies can go plus or minus. And also, I did a small statistics. We have this Almas one. Through that, I got this information. Today, I was just going through. Since 2024 till today, I just wanted to see how the companies have performed. For example, now in 2024, the index performed by close to 50%, almost 49% something. And this year, so far, about 7% has gone up. But if you see the individual performance of the companies, I took over 100%, over 100 to 300%. Some companies have done even up to 2 to 300% also. Over 100%, there are 35 companies have performed. And if I take a analysis on 50 to 100%, 90 companies have gone up on that basis. And if I take 25 to 50 companies, or 25 to 50%, it's about 65 companies. And 10 to 25, so at least some profit that you have made about the fixed deposits or whatever this thing, still 45 companies. And 0 to 10%, 33. So if you take all these positive companies, actually it comes to 268. And in losses, there is only about 32 companies during this period from last year, January, to up to currently to this period. So you can see how sometimes some people have this uh, feeling like, you go into stock market, you lose money, because a lot of people here, when the market goes down, the index goes down or something like that, that, they think that market, a lot of people are losing money. It's not like that. If you take it for a longer period and if you are not in a hurry to get your money, most of the time in world markets all over, you have measured to see you have gained only. So you have to also make sure you do your analysis like research and to buy the correct companies and invest. If you do that, you won't see like a lot of companies like going bankrupt or like, losing 100% of your investment because you would have a diversified portfolio. You'll have at least minimum 10 companies that you will have in your portfolio. So it's not like all 10 companies goes bust and you lose 100% of everything. Even if like one company is for some reason, still you have chosen a bad company and loses 20 or 30% on your total portfolio, it's not going to be, impact won't be that great. Like, so I'm just giving just an idea on that one. And also, if you today's market cap is about 6 trillion rupees. So and market P ratio is about 9.3, which is compared to our historical average is normally about 12 to 15. That's the rate that we have been always performing. So market after performing more than 50 odd percent going up, our market is still trading around 9.3 currently. So that means overall you can see the market is still underperforming. And if you compare many markets like like our neighboring like India, which is over 20 odd percent, 25, it went to almost 29, and there's a small correction going on now last 5-6 months. 10-12% has come down that market because those P ratios are quite high, like 25 to 30 range. But if we also around 20 plus or something, if we go, that means it's not a right time to be in the market too much, like unless depending on individual companies. But when we say like 9.3 range, like still we are comfortable, but that doesn't mean market won't come down anything. There will be ups and downs in market always. That's quite healthy for the market to keep coming down and going up because a lot of new investors will want to enter and reposition their portfolios, all that on that basis. And if you take the listed companies for last year, 9 months results, companies have made 469 billion net profits. And the December quarter results are just coming in now. Out of the 285, almost 230, 240 companies have released. About 190 billion they have made so far. So I expect December results can be going up to about 250 billion, because some of the banks which have not still released their results. For example, like HNB, Commercial, all those big banks, they had a very big provisioning to be to write back after the ISB. Uh, ISB, they after there was no real cut on the ISB for the Sri Lankan banks. So those banks are going to make some huge profits. So all in all, I expect about 700 billion rupees, 700 billion for the listed companies, which for the last year. So you must realize one thing, that the listed companies are doing something great, right? Because they are doing officially, they're doing businesses. They have the marketing capacity. If you go to a bank, they can get facilities. A lot of people follow them. So that's why you see a lot of people in the general economy, in the market, some personal businesses still complain, saying that business is not good, or certain complaints are there. But at the same time, the listed companies are always doing well. So what is happening is, one is a shift, like from the businesses, from the small businesses, is slowly going into the bigger hands, like into a listed sphere. So that's one area. So we'll have to consider that. So that's one of the reasons that I also was looking in this basis to invest in companies, in good companies. These are some of the companies that I would say, like 100, 150 years old. And if you want to, we can't, if you, for example, let's say now you are in Qatar. So let's say you all are some are in bankers. Let's say if you all have experience, sometimes 20, 25 years, they are working even. If 4 or 5 of you all get together, even it won't be easy just to come and start a bank in Sri Lanka. You can't get that license with all that expertise. If you bring in an investor, even it's not going to be easy, because already we are quite full up with over 20 banks that we have, over 40 odd finance companies we have. These are going to be even consolidated further into lesser numbers. So it's not easy for us to start any new businesses in a bigger way straight away. It's going to take time. But in this investment, if you start, these are established companies. Some are 25 years, 50 years, 100, 150 years old, and well managed, right? And so we are taking a small stake in these companies. Some people get the wrong idea. Like, some people come like speculators, they say, right? They are not long term. So they come for like 1 month, 2 weeks kind of a thing, and want to make a quick buck and go. So that's a different kind of an investment. I'm not promoting that, and I don't even trade that kind of a way in my portfolio. What I have bought are, like, as I said earlier, from 2012, like, for more than 10, 12 years, some of the stocks I'm still holding. So I know certain values. If it has not come up to those value, I'm still a buyer only. On a daily basis, I'll keep buying, because I have faith in those companies and still keep investing. So let's just go through a little bit on the economy and the political side. So if you see, after we going through the economic crisis, we went to IMF, and since then we have got a kind of a strict prescription from them how to run the economy. Because earlier, whoever the politicians were running time to time, they had their own policies, the ways of doing things, and that didn't work. Like, suddenly they come up the next morning and they change policies, and that really didn't uh, uh, benefit the country, and we got into this mess. So now IMF has given certain guidelines to follow. So now, by following that, now already we can see about last 2 years, things are getting into shape. Like, like our GDP, like for about 7, 8 quarters, we were down. Now the last 5 to 6 quarters, we are in positive. The last quarter alone was about 5.2%, and hopefully to 2024 we'll finish with 5% growth. And the IMF and World Bank all predicted around 3.2, but we have done much better than that. So even the results, you can see it has gone up to about 6 billion, which at one point we were just less than around $50 million, which that's why we didn't have money to even buy the fuel and all those things. The dollar went up to 360, 370 level. Now that has got steadied for 300 that has been holding for more than 1.5 years around that rate now. The workers' remittances are growing. That numbers have gone up over $7 billion. But the potential is very much high. There is, if you see the Sri Lankans, it's about 2.5 to 3 million people are out of the country. Out of that, I would say, okay, almost close to 1 million, let's say they have really settled down in European and American countries, and maybe they're not sending the money to our country. But the rest, the 2 million, if you take the real potential, it's more than $25 billion. But still, we get only about $6-7 billion out of that. So, once they have faith in the country and the system, this money will grow some more. Now, look at the tourism. The tourism now we are already getting close to the peak of 2018. So, this year, I think, inshallah, we'll surpass the 2018 numbers, and we have a target of like going to 2.5 to 3 million, and next final target will be around 5 million. But if you take countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, all these countries, their tourism is like 25, 30, 40 million tourists a year. So I can't see why we can't get to those stage, but it'll take a long time. We need to get the infrastructure and a lot of things has to be done. But the potential is there, to go to those numbers in 5 or 10 years' time. The potential is there to grow to much bigger numbers. And the interest rates have come down to almost to single digits now. The AWPR plus on markup on the banks, it can be 10, 11, 12% depending on the customer, which went up to about 25 to 30% during the economic crisis. And at that time, when the FDs were like 25% kind of a rates they were getting. Now that has really crashed. It has come down to about like now, I don't know, 5, 6, 7% in that range, right? And when the taxes are there on that, you have 15%. Now that was from 5 to 10%. I think they have increased the withholding tax. And also you have to pay, if you're on a higher bracket, you have to pay the final tax at 36 or whatever the percentage you fall into that. Then the other things are there, like the port city. It's like almost now we have been talking for about 10 years, but now things have started. Now you saw the laying of the foundation stone on a few projects already, and the next 5 years you will see quite a lot of work happening inside that. And now privatization is another one. Like although this government is a bit slow, but I'm sure eventually they have worked with the IMF, and if you see the budget and see like most of them, they're falling in line with the IMF. There's no choice because they also hands are tied. You have to get into the right system, so you have to be disciplined and at least listen for the next 2 years and put the house in order first. So we're looking at that. I'm sure they're going to privatization. Certain areas they will do, and there can be PPP, like the private public partnerships will be there. The next thing will be immediately now, I think around next week, our IMF will approve the third tranche, and we'll get that $333 million will come in. With that, the ratings can go up for our country. So until then, our foreign funds were not investing in the stock market or into the country also as proper investments. Only like India and some countries were coming in some big projects. But other than that, generally most of the countries have been holding back. So that's one area. Then the foreign funds can come in. Then India, China, Japan, all those people are now starting to look at Sri Lanka in a big way. So I'm quite positive, like how India and other Thailand and many countries turn around going to the IMF. And so I feel this will be our last time that we have gone to the IMF, right? And I see next 10, 15 years, Sri Lanka is going to grow. And there's a lot of opportunities for Sri Lanka. So while you all are working and living abroad, don't forget Sri Lanka is going to improve and a lot of opportunities will be there. And when you are too late to come, I'm not saying to come here because like jobs or anything, are not going to get those salaries immediately. It's going to take some time. But look at investments. At least the easiest way is to get through the stock market to start investing, because those companies are performing. And if you spend little time and the money, I'm sure you can make good money in the market. So this is my journey and how I look at Sri Lanka, because I felt, to come back and also to give back whatever knowledge that I have got. It's no point keeping it to ourselves. That's what when I came to Qatar also thought of meeting some people. And likewise, whenever if I go to any other country also, I would like to meet some Sri Lankans and encourage them and give the positive message, not just a positive actual thing that is going to take place. Like you can see now after the crisis, how fast we have bounced back within these 2 years. So this is just the start. So if this is going to continue, uh, you can see like how Vietnam and other countries like came up. In another 5-10 years, we are going to grow a lot. So this is the time to be in Sri Lanka for investments. So I think close around here and try to take whatever questions that you all have on whatever areas that I will be happy to share my knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jazakallah Khair. We'll be moving to the question and answer session now. We have sufficiently, enough question. Probably, I hope we can manage within the time allocated to us. But most importantly, I just want to remind the participants that we have already shared the link. So whoever want to take the next step, as Brother Imtiaz mentioned, we'll be conducting sessions on fundamental analysis, technical analysis, even how to use the trading system at TRAD and all during the upcoming session. So please don't forget to fill the forms, because that will be based on the invitation. So we'll not open for everybody. Going back to the questions, let me start on the order we received. So, Brother Imtiaz, the first question asked, I am a new investor to the market. What's the best advice you could give for a beginner?
Yeah, so if you are a new investor, I would say all depends on your age and the amount that you want to invest. So always look at long term. So don't thinking like, okay, some people have made money in short term. I also want to follow them and make some money. And if you're keeping certain monies for certain reasons, like, you want to buy a house or like, for wedding or something you have kept allocated and you feel I have 6 months or 3 months time, I want to put in the market and, double this or something and come, that can backfire because nothing can be guaranteed. Market can be up and down, like what we saw in just after COVID. The market index was only just 4,200, and we had a very good run up to 13,500. Then from nowhere, suddenly the economic situation came, and on a daily basis, sometimes the market used to go down like 5%. The first round, and then market closes for half an hour, and then again market opens, and another 2.5% goes down. Like that, we had about 12 or 15 days like that. So that was really a bad time. So if you had got caught into a situation like that, and where you can't hold it for a long period, then you would have lost all your money. Like not all means whatever certain that percentage. But if you had thought, okay, I'm investing this for 5 years, and look at the market today. The market has gone up back again from wherever it went down. It has the earlier highest was 13,500. Now today we're talking of 17,000. We've gone beyond that also. So that's how we'll have to look at it. So get some advice, speak to some investment advisors. They'll advise you what shares that you can invest. And you also learn, you spend some time, don't only listen to them. You after that you make your own judgment and allocate some time and be patient. That's the only way that you can make money. You won't go wrong if you take a long-term view. Markets, if you buy today, tomorrow you will see a 50 cents down, 1 rupee down, and then you feel like in 1 week, okay, I put money, already I'm losing 5%. What's happening to my money? You start thinking, then you're going to be, you'll be troubling yourself. So give time. It will, inshallah, if it's a good company, if you've done your analysis and research and nothing wrong with the company, you see, when you buy a share, there's a company separately. There's a CEO, managing director, the workers are working. They are not aware of anything happening in the stock market. They are just full time. They are very busy with their production line or whatever they're doing, and they're exporting, or for example, and they're busy with their work. But in the stock market, it's a sentiment driven sometimes, or it's a demand and supply, right? So, or it's on some news that comes in, right? For that reason, immediately the market goes down for about 1 hour sometimes, then it recovers. Then, for one day it goes down, or 5 days it goes down. Then again it recovers beyond that. So some people who are impatient will start selling, and we feel, no, I want to get out from the market quickly as possible. And they sell. And those are the people, once you sell, you have realized your losses, and then, your capital is less, and it's difficult to get back from there. So I think the long term and doing a research is the best way to go forward.
Thank you very much for the detailed answer. I'm just picking up a question which just came because it's related to the current question you answered. Where I can learn about stock market in Sri Lanka by online. If you give any contact or sources, it will be big help whoever going to start. I think we mentioned that we will also having some session in future, but probably I think you can also brief about Almas One. Currently, you have some resources available for free.
Correct. Yeah. So, as you say, there are about 23 stockbrokers in Sri Lanka, and there are investment advisors, about 350 investment advisors there in total. So you can reach to any of the stockbroker or the investment advisor and seek your advice on how to invest and go about. But we at Almas, we have this Almas portal, Almas called Almas One, that gives a lot of information. All right. So when we came into the scene, say just 2.5 years ago, we got this license and came into stock brokering. I, as an investor, I wanted certain things, how our stockbroker to perform, like how information to be given, and for investors to get that in an easy way. Before that, even I was finding it very difficult. We had the only way we could go is to the Colombo Stock Exchange, like but it's all in different quarterly accounts or yearly accounts are in different things that to go through and get. But here we have brought in everything together, and the details that you want just now earlier, what I was telling you, how the companies have performed from 2024, you can go by yourself and do those details and get. From 23, you can see how much profit the individual companies have made, or you can go back to even 2020 and see, right, what's the returns those companies have made. Likewise, individual companies profit wise, PE ratio wise, price to book ratio, different analyses are there. If you spend a lot of time on that, I think for you will be able to get a lot of information from that.
Thank you very much for that explanation. There's another question. I think I read from the question they're asking to explain the difference between investing. Probably I think investing not in the stock market, general investing, and stock trading to make profit. How much percentage to allocate to both when starting out? I think probably they're asking between trading in the shares and for long-term investment. So I think what is the suggested percentage to allocate between these two?
Yeah. So I think first you should start as a long-term investor, like put for investments. Once you have an idea and once you are a little bit thorough with that, then you can go for trading. So then, later on with a say 20, 30 or even 40% even, it doesn't matter. You can do trading on that. But initially coming for trading is not the advisable thing unless someone is managing an account, who is like a investment advisor or something, but still you'll have to have a control on that. I would say ideally about 20, 30 to 40% maximum should be for trading, and balance should be on long-term investment.
Okay, I think related
Because
question.
our market also, you have to understand, our market is not very liquid also, and market is small. So you don't get that too many opportunities on a daily basis or weekly basis to do a lot of trading. In some other countries, you can do even day trading. You can go in few hours, you can go in and come out. But here it's not that easy. So you have to understand, like, especially if you are on borrowed money or something, you can be under pressure. So you shouldn't be, unless you are, have a lot of experience, it's better avoid that and just take it at least for 1 year. You take it and go for investment.
I think related question only. What are the benefit of trading with the advisor and without the advisor?
It's always good to get an advice, but that doesn't have to be a final opinion. Like, you have to make a final choice, right? You also have better do your, you can talk to a few more other people, get an advice, and especially if you know that industry or something, you can go and do some research on that industry or the company, and just go through. And it's always better for you to make the final decision, not give 100% of your approval to, if they even give that, if let's say investment advisor might give a good advice for that moment, you have to always understand you are giving an advice for today, right? Now you hold that after 1 month and come and say in between the share would have gone up also and must have come down, and you would have not done anything about it. And later you'll come back and start complaining and say, look, you told me to buy. Now look, this has gone down 10% or 20%. But you will forget the fact that that share would have gone up 10 or 20% also during that period. And that time you would have been greedy to hold on to the share, not to sell that. And then you will find an excuse, like in always you want to scapegoat someone to find fault. So you must take responsibility for whatever the investment that you are doing and not to be dependent. It's good to get an advice, but you make the final decision when to buy and when to sell and how much profit you want. All those decisions is up to you, because advisor won't know whether you want a 10% return or a 20% return or whether 3% return. So that you will have to make a decision and make that call.
There is a few questions related to this whitelist and Sharia compliant stock. I will just join them together. So I think you briefly mentioned in your speech also about current status of whitelisting. They're asking, is there does the CSE or stock brokerage provide a specific list of Sharia compliant stock, or do investors need to screen them independently? A similar question, similar area, like what about the new whitelist companies? Nowadays, we don't receive the data about it. How can we get it?
Um, So, earlier there was no regulation by the SEC. So there were just two, three companies were coming out with the white list. So like in our case, what we thought was to bring in 5 different international standards, right? And we didn't want to enforce anyone and say you follow one particular standard, right? Because we know investors are from different regions, from different countries. People are investing even in Sri Lanka. For example, now you're in Middle East, right? So there is a Middle Eastern authority, like IOFI, but someone is living in Canada or in the US or in the UK, they will would have got used to something else like Dow Jones or S&P or something like that. Or someone is in Pakistan, India, they have their own. Pakistan has a different, India has different, then Malaysia has a different standard. So these are different combined. So we didn't want to enforce and say, no, you follow IOFI or you follow the Malaysian standard or something. So what we did was, it was much more difficult for us. It was difficult going through 5 different standards, going through the verification and the research, and we gave all that information to the people for them to make the choice whether which one you want to follow, and take one as an example and take it, or you want to take all 5 as a this thing. It was up to them. But later on, I think SEC was coming up with a proposal and was saying, why not we have a one standard for Sri Lanka? And so they are still working on it, and they're not still 100% put out a list out yet. So we are also speaking to them. I think we'll be having another meeting very shortly, and we are trying to resolve that quickly. And I think within 1 or 2 months, I think there can be a whitelist coming out. But meantime, you all can do your own research, because now these kind of things are there internationally, like what we have said. Then given the international standards, you know the methods, but only thing the details will have to be checked. So that's the area that our research and our Sharia boards also in-house was doing and putting it out.
There's another question. Is it a good idea now to enter the market since the market is in all-time high? I will also link, probably I think you can also address this question also. What is your opinion for stock market price regarding price to earning and the book price? Probably I think you can link both together and answer.
Okay. So let's say if we had this seminar, so let's say about 2 months back, and at that time the all share index was, let's say, around 14,000, and that also was an all share. It was also all-time high. So if you ask me the question at 14,000, where is a good time to invest? It's difficult to tell. Now today asking me at 17,000, it's a good good time to enter. So overall, I told you, like, the overall market is still trading at 9.2, and the companies are making good profits. And I feel even this quarter is going to be one of the record profits the listed companies are going to make. So if that is the case, the P ratio of the market will come down further, right? So now if you take the 20, just before the crisis, when we hit 13,500, our P ratio, market P ratio was about 15. For 13,500, the P ratio is 15. Now today it's 17,000 and it's at 9.2. So now you can decide whether still has room to go up or not. And also the P, you asked, the other question was P and the price to book value. So that's the P ratio, what I said was 9.2, 9.3 currently is trading. There are a few investment stock brokering companies and also foreign research companies have come out and they have given some targets. So I don't want to mention those, but there are some upsides are still there in the market. But again, it's not only the market that you are investing into individual companies. So you'll have to see the performance of individual company and invest on those. So some companies are even trading, although the P ratio is still 9, and let's say if one can go to 12 or 15 or whatever, there are companies still trading at 3, 4, 5 times also. So that means that some are really undervalued. Still, the prices are still not started to move on those. So those are the research that you will have to do and pick the correct shares if you want to get the maximum returns.
Yeah, there's another question. Considering the current market situation, is it advisable to hold at least 10 to 20% in cash or to stay fully invested?
It's always advisable to keep some cash. It's not 100% investing. It's not the ideal thing, right? But since now markets are gone up, you can always keep some cash. But all depends now. In my investment style, my most of the money is invested in the stock market, right? Because I don't have any fixed deposits or any other cryptocurrencies or any other kind of asset classes except some personal assets that we have. So I believe in the market, and I'm quite thorough in that. And still, we can make mistakes. It's a never-ending thing. Every day we learn new things going forward in the market, upside and downsides. That's what I also coming forward and trying to give our wealth of knowledge that we have learned. We don't have to invent the wheel all over again. So that's why I also follow people like Warren Buffett. There are a lot of Indians are there who talk about the markets. There are a lot of social media, good people on the YouTube. So you can go and listen to the markets, how they have performed. For example, like in India, the markets there, the last 5-10 years, they made huge monies, right? The middle income is like now it's almost 150 to 200 million people, right? And a lot of people have made not like in our market, they have made 200 times, 300 times. So that's the kind of returns that they are seeing in their markets. So they are quite bullish. Their economy is growing still at 7-8%. We are just sitting next to them. We also have a lot of potential. If we can just follow them, if some of those investors can come to Sri Lanka and start buying over some companies, the potentials are very, very high. That's what I said. Next 5-10 years, not only the market, I'm saying as a country, we have so much of scope for us to move forward. So that means a lot of opportunities are going to come. Like, for example, like say the privatization, a lot of companies are going to be listed. So the market cap now is like 6 trillion, which is still nothing, right? Just only about $20 billion. Going forward, it can go like 10 times easily. It can go higher. So that's why come in and there's no right timing in a market. Unless like, you're in a market where 20, 30 times PE, there can be a high risk there. But here also there is risk. I don't say there's no risk, but valuation wise, it looks really cheap. And all the fundamentals, you take all the country fundamentals, interest rates are low, the fundamentals, everything has started to move right on the right direction. So, so the only way is to go up until a certain point. But of course, there can be ups and downs in the market. Like as I said, like 2, 3 weeks back, suddenly we had a 500 point went down. But today, if you go through that point and see, we are higher than that point today. So what happened to the market? Like, because that people still believe that right prices are still to be made.
Okay, there are several questions about where to invest, which company to invest. I don't think you can give a particular company name because it's probably not the right thing. But I think there is also a question like what are the sectors you think that is having multi-bagger stocks? If you can mention few companies, but probably I think you can give just an overall a view rather than I don't think you can give a particular companies because
Yeah,
to invest in where to not invest in.
correct. So I can't give any investment advice on companies or promoting anything. But as a sector in general, I can see the tourism sector is one sector that's going to do really well. Related, so many areas are there in that. Not only the hotels, it can be food, like it can be transportation, logistics. So many areas are there related to that. So that is one. Even plantations also has still potential, although the salary increment is on cards. But there are few things in that area to open up, like palm oil cultivations can be there. There are many other things that they're looking at. If you, for example, if you take a plantation, you have personal estates are there, right? If you take a personal estate, so 100 acres or whatever, you have bought that at a market price with the land price. But these are companies, listed companies are holding leasehold lands. So you're investing in a company with leasehold lands, and they don't have huge capital invested on the real asset itself. So that's why they can give good returns. For them, it's just they're paying a nominal lease to the government, and they can give good returns. But if it's a personal investment that you have, it can be a bank borrowing or the interest rates or whatever you have to calculate all that into factor that. So, that you have to look at those ways. So there are power and energy sectors are there. Of course, we can't go into the banking sector, but just only one bank is there. That is can be looked. There's some diversified investment companies are there. When stock market is doing well, there are certain companies are there, and who might have some shares which have gone up. Depends again whether it falls under whitelist or what category that you're looking at. Uh, there are many areas like that. There are uh, companies that they have like kind of a monopoly kind of a business. All right, those areas can really do well.
Okay, thank you. There is a question, actually a couple of questions related to risk management. What are some of the common mistakes new investors make, and how can they avoid them? I think something related to that only. How do you approach risk management when investing in the stock market?
So first thing is like, you come with the mindset of like to just dabble in the shares, thinking like, you can do trading and make money and that kind of a thing. You come on short term. Another thing can be going on borrowings if you are not experienced enough and you don't have a good knowledge, and just because your portfolio has just gone up during the whole run, everyone is making money in this. You don't have to be a good whether you've done research or not. In this market, most of the people have made money. Even in a bad company, also they would have made profits because the overall market has gone up. So those are the areas you have to be careful. So some people look at companies looking at cheap prices. It's not only on the price. You will have to look at the business model, the management, how they conduct, how long they have been in business, what are the advantages kind of a thing that they have on top of the other people. Like, there are areas like, import controls are there. licensing are there. Like, different things time to time keeps coming up. So those are the areas you have to look at and go. But if you're just because the market, let's say every share has like gone up and suddenly you feel 1 rupee share might be if I buy it at 1 and it can go to 5 rupees, I can make so much. It doesn't work like that way. You see, so you have to, there's a reason why that share is at 1 rupee. And there's a reason why some shares at 2,500 is trading. So, and still people will go and buy 2,500 rupee share because that gives you good returns. I mean, like, they're making good profits based on number of shares that company has. Because there are certain companies with 4 billion, 5 billion issued shares. And there are certain companies with just 1 million shares issued. So, but the earning per share will be based on that only, with number of shares only. So that's why now you see lots of companies are going for what do you call splits, like 4 times, 10 times splits, so that make it little more affordable for people. That doesn't mean that just because they give a split, their fundamentals have changed. It's just that makes it comfortable for a retailer or a small investor to break the psychology. Like, I don't want to buy a company over 100 rupees or something, right? If I buy at 100 rupees, if the share goes down to 10 rupees, I'll lose so much, right? So you feel like 90 rupees you'll lose. But if you buy a share for 1 rupee, and that also can go down to 10 cents. So, it's the same arithmetic on that. So it's a mindset. Some people feel like whatever the amount that like the market index, like, it gone to like 17,000 means, no, let me wait till it comes down to 12,000. I'll come back, thinking like that. So likewise, some people think, no, the share has gone to 150. If it comes to 100 only, I'll buy. So, but it's not like that way. It depends on the valuation again. So we have to understand. So that's one area. The other thing can be even a broker credit, if you can manage properly, you can go. But otherwise, if you are not experienced enough, especially people lose money is when you have no control of your shares, like borrowing. Like when the banks say, okay, today your portfolio has come down, you need to sell so much and bring it down by this level. Then you're forced to sell that time. So that's why you see some shares, certain times it comes down, artificially it comes down. If the value is even 25 rupees, you will see some bank is just selling even at 22 rupees to recover. So then it's an opportunity for people who have money and who understands, they will go at 22, 22.50 and buy it. So those are the areas I think we have to be careful on.
There are a few questions related to fundamental and technical analysis. I will not particularly take them because since we are planning to have 2 separate sessions, I think we can go into detail. There is also one question on opening account. How to open CDS account with Qatar mobile number as Sri Lankan resident?
I think Sri Lankan residents, you need a Sri Lankan mobile number. If you are still a Sri Lankan passport holder, you need to give a local telephone number. I think that's one of the must, I think. With a foreign number, you won't be able to open. If you want to go on a foreign number, then there's something called the IIA account, Inward Investment Account. So unless you come through that, then you will be able to open account through that. Still, you can be a foreigner and come through that. It's not only for foreigners, but you want to invest. I mean, someone staying abroad can open that. But if you want to use that, but if you can get a local chip and get a number when you're in Sri Lanka next time or something, give that and try to get that account open. And opening account is very simple now. Within about 10-15 minutes, if you have the 3-4 documents in hand, you can straight away open the account online while you are in overseas.
I think couple of questions, whether you can trade from Sri Lanka in US market, also like, whether Almas has any gold investment, like, portal or something like that. Do we have anything to invest in gold?
We are not investing in gold. We are mainly into only the shares, but later on we will be we are opening a wealth management company, so we might go into unit trust into that, and also with wealth management, portfolio management, those areas we are looking into it. And hopefully, inshallah, soon that we'll be going to those areas, but all again related to the stock market only, not gold. And someone wants to invest in the American market, I don't think so. Officially, you can do it from Sri Lanka unless you open an account from outside. If you're already if you are living abroad, I don't see a problem. You should be able to open an account from that side. But if you're someone living in Sri Lanka, I don't think so. But unless you have some arrangement from outside the country to get the account opened and then trade from Sri Lanka online.
Okay, there is a question, how do we choose the brokers? Because not almost all the brokers are legit, even though they are licensed by Colombo Stock Exchange.
So I didn't get your question.
How do we choose the brokers? Because not all the brokers are legit, even though they are licensed by CSE, Colombo Stock Exchange. So I'm not sure whether the facts are correct.
So if you are a registered license stock exchange, you are a licensed stock broker from the Colombo Stock Exchange, there is a process that they verify everything in detail. So, they can't be a legit, like kind of a company like that. You can have your personal preferences about perception about a broker or a company, but as long as Colombo Stock Exchange is concerned, they are all proper companies, and that everything is verified, and they undergo a lot of scrutiny and everything. It's not easy having a stock brokering company. There's so much of details we have to provide. There's so much of scrutiny, and everything is there. So yeah, so they are quite strict, and they go through everything in detail.
Yeah, I think there are some general question about the market itself. So there is one question say that the foreign investors over the past weeks, there is a uptick in sales. Any specific reason behind it? Even many companies have, although many companies have recorded good financial results.
Sorry, the foreign companies?
So although the foreign investors, it seems like, I think the question says foreign investors seems to be like, selling the shares in past few weeks. I'm not sure whether the facts are correct.
Correct,
Despite the companies are doing well, is there any reason behind it?
So as I said earlier, our ratings have been down. Like, we were in RD for a long period, and just about a month back only, some of the rating agents have just given us just one notch higher. Still, it's not a proper rating for good big fund managers to come in. So at the moment, last year we had about 7 or 8 billion worth of foreign outflow. This year also already about up to now about 7 to 8 billion foreign outflow is there. That will change soon. As soon as the ratings goes up, that's the time the foreigners can come. So although the market, as you said, market valuations are good, they are not in a position to come in a big way and enter the market yet. So that is another good area. That's why a lot of investors are investing and waiting for like foreign funds, foreign funds to come. It's a matter of few months now only. Very soon, hopefully, as I said, like even once the IMF releases the next tranche, right? And with that, there will be a credit upgrade can happen within 2-3 weeks or 1 month. That can happen. So if once that happens, the foreign inflows can start coming in. You can see some fund managers are already in town. They're coming and analyzing and going through all those details. This is just a matter of time that that will start happening, sure.
I'll take probably the last question due to the time restraint. What books or resources do you recommend for someone new to investing?
What books?
Or resources. What books or resources you recommend for someone new to investing?
The resources are there. One is the Colombo Stock Exchange. You can get all the information. The next one is like Almas One, have a lot of information in that. Another one will be like if you can read the local papers like the FT daily, that gives a lot of Financial Times here, that gives a lot of based on investment and companies and non-related ones. For local, those kind of information should be just more than enough, like to understand. I think research is the important, like going through those company. If you can read the annual reports, that's one area. The messages are there, the chairman's message, the CEO message. So underneath that, there are a lot of information is there. But what we look at is the top line, the middle line, and the bottom line only. And then we work out the earning per share and the net asset value, and then go to the last page to see who are the shareholders owning these shares, and we make our decisions, right? But there is a lot to read in between, and if you can understand those things correctly, there's a lot of information that you can gather.
I think that's it. I think we are exactly on time. Thank you to each and every one of you for being with us today. Thank you very much, Brother Imtiaz Buhardeen, taking time and sharing his journey and inspiring us with his long 3 to 4 decades of the journey. Thank you very much. And we also thank Shamir Buhardeen, his son, and the entire Almas team. And finally, I would like to thank entire team of SLMPQ, President and the EXCO members. Without them, this program would have been not possible at all. Up until we meet next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.
Thank you very much for the time and the listening given to me. And I would like to thank Mr. Rifkan and Mr. Ahmad Rila and your team for giving me this opportunity. And when I visited Qatar, it was really a nice time. I was quite impressed the way Qatar has developed, especially after the FIFA and things, the infrastructure and everything. I can see a lot of things happening, like something like Singapore. You know, the ideas, the information, like all that, the systems that they're bringing in. So it was a nice time that I had in Qatar, and hope to see you all soon, inshallah. Thank you very much.